guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you guys what I went through, some of the things that I knew were actually going to happen, and some of the things I had no idea, I was going to face. There are some things that people always expect you to go through when you're pregnant. I admit I was one of those people. I thought I was going to have morning sickness. I thought I was going to be eating a lot, the eating for two thing. What else? Weight gain and so on. Some of these things I admit happened for me, and some of them were like, no, I didn't go through them at all. And I also went through certain things that I had no idea even existed. So I'll give you guys some of the few things that I went through personally. I also wanted to say this. I know that not every pregnancy is the same, so this is not to say that everybody will go through what I went through, and it's not to say that you won't go through it. So this is my version, this is my experience. Number one, I started off being very tired. In the beginning of the pregnancy, when I didn't even know I was expecting, I was really getting tired a lot. Like, I'd be working out and I would suddenly be so tired. Like, I had shortness of breath, couldn't continue. I had to stop working out a lot of times. Number two, I had super sore breasts. I was in denial at the time though. I thought it was just due to an upcoming period, so I was totally ignoring that. But that was one of the first symptoms that I had. I had very sore nipples, I had heavy breasts, I had just soreness all over as far as my breast. Number three, I had no appetite, zero. I thought I was going to be eating so much in my pregnancy, and this was so disappointing. Like, I was continuing to eat the way that I was eating pre-pregnancy, and this was like, I look back and I'm like, man, I really hated that time, because I was working out before I got pregnant. I was working out all the time. I was restricting myself as far as my diet. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was happy. After I finally accepted it, I was happy I could eat whatever I wanted to eat. But that was not the case. My hormones made sure that I was not eating what I wanted to eat. Number four, this might seem a little crazy because I just talked about loss of appetite and not really eat enough. But this was cravings. I was craving a lot of Ghanaian food. I'm from Ghana, so I was craving a lot of my mom's cooking. I wanted to eat African food so bad, like, for real. And this was also the time when I didn't know I was pregnant. So I thought maybe, because I've been restricting myself so much on this diet, I'm just craving something that I really enjoy. But yeah, I was craving so much food and it was just crazy. This was the strongest craving I ever had. Next on the list, I have food aversions. Oh my goodness. I hated the smell of food. It was crazy. I first of all started to hate my cooking. I hated the smell of my cooking. I hated the smell of grease. I hated the smell of rotisserie chicken, salmon. All I was eating was like either my mother-in-law would cook and I would enjoy it, or I would buy food from a restaurant or something. And also one thing that I was really loving at the time was just white foods like pizza, bread, pasta, anything that was just carbs. That's what I was loving, because I just hated the smell of everything, literally. I remember I really hated whenever my husband tried to use our deep fryer because it already had the grease sitting in it. And oh my goodness, every time that grease got heated up, the smell would just like, I would just feel like throwing up, even though, it didn't really happen, but I would feel like really sick. Also, one time I was making some pasta with some leftover rotisserie chicken. That was the end for me. I hated the smell so much. That was the end of rotisserie chicken for me, and I thought I wasn't ever gonna eat it anymore. But keyword, thought, because now I'm back to enjoying it again. It is so good. Next on the list, morning sickness. I was actually looking forward to this one because on TV, whenever anybody is pregnant, you just see them throwing up and, rushing to the bathroom. I did not throw up once in my pregnancy, like nothing. I felt sick sometimes, but it wasn't to the point where I was just like going to the bathroom all the time. And I'm actually happy about that, because who wants to basically be living in the bathroom? So that was a win-win for me. Pelvic pressure. Oh my goodness. This started early on my pregnancy. I think at around 12 weeks. It made me realize how much we use our core and the whole pelvic area. I would try to take off my shoes, like, with the other foot, how you try to take off your shoes with your other foot. I would try to do that and my pelvic area would be hurting. And I'm like, what? And that was something I had never heard of before. So that was something really, really new to me. And it just went on in my entire pregnancy. The heavier the baby grew, the more she grew, the more pain I just felt. The next thing on my list is hormones. Everybody knows that when you're pregnant, you just have your hormones all over the place. I kind of did too, but honestly, I'm kind of proud of myself. I thought I was gonna be like really bad as far as hormones were concerned, but it was just kind of like a double of what I already am. It made me more sensitive, it made me more emotional, it made it really easy for me to argue with my husband. I was just like don't touch, like super sensitive. I didn't have any thick skin at that time. I was just like very, very much in my feelings. Now this one is very unpopular. This is something I realized. I think I lost my butt. It's funny. A lot of people have, you know, their butts sitting out and hips just poking out and just, you know, looking good body-wise. There I was, bigger my stomach got. It just seemed like my butt was just getting flatter and flatter. And it wasn't just because in comparison to my stomach. I was actually having a flat butt. And I was like, why is this baby seat in my butt? Yeah, that was crazy. Thankfully, after I had my baby, my hips are flourishing and my butt has come back to normal, if not just a tad little bit bigger. But yeah, that came back. Comments from strangers. Oh my goodness, some people have just got to keep their comments to themselves. Their opinions, just keep it to yourself, okay? Everywhere I went, oh my goodness, everybody has something to say. And I don't say this to say, oh, don't talk to me, I'm pregnant, you know. But everybody was like, oh, you're just ready to pop. And sometimes I was like 27 weeks or something. Just don't say that. People would ask me how far along I was, and you know, I would tell them, they're like, wow, you sure those are not twins? You know, like basically implying my stomach looks bigger than it's supposed to. And I'm like sometimes I would just smile, you know, and try to, you know, not really react to it. But I was like, you're gonna meet somebody who's really sensitive and you're gonna have it. Besides that, they would say stuff like, I know that's definitely a boy. One time this guy in a grocery store, he was like, oh, that's a boy. And I was like, nah, it's a girl. He was like, just be honest, don't you think there are too many girls in the world already? And I was like, what? That was crazy. Just please keep your comments to yourself. Also, if you're pregnant and somebody tries to do this, just keep your cool. I know a lot of them don't mean anything bad. They don't have any crazy, you know, intentions or anything. So just laugh it off and move on with your day. But also, if you're pregnant and you haven't gone through this yet, I really hope that you're prepared to hear this, because it's gonna happen. With comments from strangers comes privilege also, you know. Sometimes they won't say anything, but you're gonna have some pregnancy privileges. I know that I did, like, not to say that people don't open the door for me, but this time when I was pregnant, I realized that it was more. Like, people will hold the door for me. I would get like random smiles from people. It was sometimes it was a conversation starter. Just people being nice all around to you. One time my husband was he went in to give me some Red Lobster biscuits, because, you know, I love them. And he got them for free, actually, because his wife was pregnant. So that was like that was a big deal to me. I got some free food because I was pregnant. Like, my brother-in-law would just buy me food, you know, wouldn't even ask me, would just bring me food, would bring me cookies, just treats, you know, because I was pregnant, and I was just loving it. Next thing is side and back sleep. Okay, so while you're pregnant, obviously as your stomach grows, you know, you're gonna be wanting to sleep on your side, on your back, because you obviously can sleep on your baby, you know, your growing baby. But nobody ever tells you that with that comes like so much pain. My hips were hurting from sleeping on my side. My butt was hurting from laying on my back constantly. And anybody who's pregnant knows that as you go forward, it gets to a point where you can't even really lay on your back anymore. So I only had my side to sleep on, and that was the worst. Pregnancy pillows weren't really working, because that's what I was, you know, being suggested every time I talked about it. But those didn't help at all, and my side was just killing me. So if you're pregnant or you're trying to get pregnant, you should expect that. I had so much back pain, you guys. The bigger my baby got, the more she grew. My back was killing me. It just seemed like as the weeks go by when you're pregnant, things just happen. Just when you think you've gone through like the worst thing, something else, you know, shows its face. And back pain for me was one of the bad things I went through, one of the worst things. It put a whole lot of like pressure on my lower back, the baby did, and it was just like so awful. My back pains used to be so bad, like I would ask for massages from my husband all the time. And the crazy thing about it is, like, he gave me massages and they were so good, but because my stomach was so big, sometimes he didn't even have, you know, anything to hold on to or anything to grab onto, and I couldn't lay on my stomach for him to, you know, have full access to my back. So I don't even know how I got through back pain, but he was such a big help. He would constantly give me massages, and that helped greatly. Dryness and itchiness of skin. Oh my goodness. This was in the beginning of my pregnancy, first trimester, when my skin was just now starting to stretch, you know, and my baby was growing. So that was a quick fix. It was an easy fix, actually. I just had to moisturize my skin like a couple times a day or more if you need to. And yeah, that came and that left like right away. Pregnancy brain, forgetfulness, clumsiness, how put all of this together. Oh my goodness. Like I heard, you know, I was just reading a lot of stuff during my pregnancy, and some of the things I just really thought, maybe this is not gonna be me. But can you guys imagine, like, I would just be holding, let's say, a cup, and I would drop the cup for no reason. I did not understand it. Like, I would just drop that. I think that is attributed to loose joints or something. Like, sometimes you would trip for no reason, or you try to stand and you're, you know, you kind of like almost fall or something like that. I'm not sure exactly where, what to attribute that to, but I think that's what causes it, the looseness of joints. So that was, as far as pregnancy, clumsiness. I also had mom brain or pregnancy brain. I'll give it a quick example. I usually make brownie mixes from the box, and so I'm pretty much, you know, I'm familiar with what to go through, the steps and everything. But while I was pregnant, I swapped the measurement of water with that of oil. I had to add extra flour to my brownie batter, and the taste was just like, it just wasn't right. So that's an example. So I don't know what, you know, you're gonna go through. Are you gonna forget and, you know, I guess like put your keys in the fridge or do something crazy? Extreme thirst. It got to a point where I was super thirsty. Like nothing, I won't say nothing, but pretty much nothing would quench my thirst. I had this phrase that my husband hated so much. I would always say, I want something refreshing, and he would suggest maybe apple juice or, you know, something. But it just seemed like I always wanted something specific. Like I would want a smoothie or I would want a shake. And if I didn't get those things, it just seemed like nothing would quench my thirst. But also, if you're expecting or if you're trying to conceive or whatever, stay hydrated, because at one point I had contractions. I think it was like my 23rd week or something. I had crazy contractions that sent me to the ER. And I was given an IV to hydrate my body, and that was what got me feeling better. So definitely drink a lot of water. I know that everybody hears this all the time, and it seems like, you know, people don't even listen to that anymore, but drink a lot of water. Swollen feet and ankles. So I woke up one morning, my ankles were like this thick, my feet were like that thick, and I just didn't know where this was coming from. And thankfully this was after my baby shower, so, you know, I didn't have to worry about having to look glam and all of that stuff. My shoes weren't fitting anymore. I couldn't buckle my sandals around my ankles. It was just a crazy thing. So definitely expect that somehow, somewhere in your pregnancy. Heartburn. I can't stress how bad this was. I can't stress it enough. This was horrible. I've had heartburn before, you know, pre-pregnancy, in my life in general. But this was the worst. Like, this was not due to fried foods or lack of drinking water. This was just heartburn because you're alive. Heartburn because you're carrying a baby. And I can think of some ways that I kind of like help myself to get rid of it. I will drink a lot of water, or sometimes I'll drink some carbonated water, which, you know, that makes you belch anyway. So that helps sometimes. But in general, my heartburn stayed until it was like ready to go out on its own. Nesting. Oh my goodness, this was a fun part of pregnancy. A lot of people go through it. I haven't met anybody that didn't go through nesting. So it got to a point where I was just ready to have all my baby stuff out. washing my baby's clothes, ready to see her putting her crib and stuff together, just like randomly cleaning the house for no reason sometimes. It's a fun part of this. Like, I think it was one of the most beautiful things about just waiting for my baby, and it had me doing things that I normally wouldn't do. Like, now that I've had her, I don't really feel like doing anything else. But while I was pregnant, I was like constantly putting my pressure on my husband, like, pull this crib together, pull the dresser together, do this, do that. I was just like ready to see her. And a lot of women go through nesting from like a very, very early on stage to, I don't know, to the very end of the pregnancy. And this was a major thing for me. This was my way of occupying myself when I didn't have anything to do, like a way of thinking about my baby and just excitement. I think it's an expression of your excitement to meet your baby. I think for me it was. So yeah, if you find yourself cleaning around the house, just constantly doing things that you normally wouldn't do, that's nesting, and that is amazing. So enjoy it. Finally, I specifically saved this for last because this was the last thing that happened to me in my pregnancy journey. I had POP. It's spelled P-U-P-P-P. I'm not sure if you haven't heard of it, that's okay, because I never had either. Basically, this is just like, I think there's no known cause for this, but what happened with me when this happened was I would just itch for no reason. So it started as stretch marks, lower abdomen stretch marks. I never had stretch marks until the very last month of my pregnancy. So as my stretch marks grew, I started to have these bumps, were itchy. So I was thinking my stretch marks are just itchy. So I would scratch a little bit and just let it be. But this kept getting worse. Kept getting itchy. It started spreading everywhere. So I thought, eczema? I don't know. I started to itch like crazy. You guys, when I tell you that I was covered in bumps, it started in my lower abdomen, spread all the way to like my stomach. Soon enough, it was on my arms, my neck, my back. It was literally everywhere. I was scratching like crazy. Like, it was just crazy. I was scratching the whole time. And that was the devil. It was itching so much I couldn't go to sleep, you guys. Like, the day before I had my baby, that was the highlight of the entire pregnancy. I think I went to sleep at like 6 a.m. I couldn't get comfortable. I was hot. I was itching. And it's like, the more you scratch, it becomes sore. So I had this thin skin around my stomach that was just itching, and I could do nothing about it. My midwife recommended some hydrocortisone and some Benadryl. That helped for like literally a week. I was back to scratching. Nothing would help, nothing at all. So that didn't stop until like 2 weeks postpartum. So if you're going through this, I don't know what your healthcare provider is going to recommend. Hopefully that helps you. But if you can, try as much as possible to not scratch, because that's what fuels it, and that's what keeps it going. And so, but hey, if you scratch and you were like me, there's hope after your baby. The pregnancy journey just comes with so much. Besides all the symptoms and everything you go through, you also get to the point where you have to decide what pediatrician you want to go to, if you want to vaccinate your child or not, what products you want to use for them, if you're going to breastfeed, or all that stuff. So just take a deep breath and remember that it's all going to be worth it. Okay guys, so this is the end of my video. These are some of the things that I went through. This is my experience. You may go through some of these things, or you may not at all, who knows. Pregnancy is just such a surprise. You never know what's gonna happen. In spite of all these crazy things I went through, it was still one of the most beautiful journeys I've ever been through. And I'm just trying to encourage you out there, if you're going through some hard times in pregnancy, just know that at the end of the tunnel, there's always light. You're gonna see your baby, and it's gonna be all worth it. So basically that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.